Big news just dropped. The biggest news, potentially. The official tournament policy has been updated, including infractions and penalties. Okay, right. So, TLDR, the biggest change, essentially, is this massive shift in top cut allocation. So, the time rules and the... That's it, right? Those are the two main things here. So, it was... Yeah, to summarize, top cut is now top 8 only. No matter how big an event is, 4,000 players, 6,000 players, even YCSs are now only top 8. So pretty much in order to top a YCS now, you have to go X1 minimum to guarantee. You have to go, previously, how many rounds is there at a YCS? Like 12-ish? 11 or 12? They're adding 2 extra rounds to compensate for this. So you're getting like 14 or 15 rounds per event now. And that's how you win a YCS now. You have to go top 8. You have to, like, you can only lose 1 game. Now, the good thing about that is draws have been eliminated, so there's no intentional drawing, there's no, like, sneaky deals, there's no mischievous, kind of stuff going on here. And if you play super well and your deck is crazy, only lose 1 game to variance or something, you get rewarded by pretty much getting guaranteed locked in top cut. And you don't have to deal with some top 64 random sneaked in stun bullshit variants and then get eliminated. So only the absolute creme de la creme apparently can reach the top 8 now. However, there is still a lot of variance in Yu-Gi-Oh! Irrespective of how insane you are as a player. You can still lose to, like, just better have it, etc., etc. So I don't know. I guess I don't have the biggest, strongest opinion on this because that's not really the level that I play at, obviously. But overall, I feel like it seems... Maybe, like, there's positives and negatives here. I don't know if you can really say that this is great or this is terrible. I mean, there's just positives and negatives to this system, isn't there? Now, one of the good things is that they're not changing pricing. So you still get to keep all of your, stuff that you get from top 128, I believe. If you make day 2, you get, like, those new fancy prize packs. You get a stamped Veiler for top 16. I think you get, like, the stopped, is it Card Trooper for top 32? So all of that stuff doesn't change. That's good. So nothing too bad about that. It just seems like they are trying to hurry events along by the new time rules and also focus more on efficiency rather than, like, gameplay perspective of changes. But all of this is, like, be interesting to see what the more competitive players say about this. Now, the second major change is the time rules. This shit is... Okay, so to really break down why this is bad, the double loss thing is pretty much there to and designed to stop intentional draws from happening, but they are really bad because the only way a game can positively end is if someone wins. If you are in a situation where you have game on board in game 3, and your opponent is just kind of faffing around and doesn't scoop, essentially, after you just have game on board and time is called, I don't know how they're going to enforce this. Like, if you literally have 8,000 on board, then all you need to do is move to the battle phase and attack. I don't know how they're going to enforce this. But unless you very definitively end a match, you get a double game loss. Now, what's annoying about this is that for probably many years to come after this point, henceforth, there's going to be so many people who are misinformed and don't understand how the system works. It is not good and beneficial for you to sort of stall out and double loss yourselves game 3, because if your opponent loses, naturally, the sort of subconscious understanding is like, oh, well, my opponent lost, I've also lost, so it's not as bad as letting them win. It is actually better for your opponent to win that game. So, that's one of the downsides and negatives, is that there's going to be so many people who are in match-losing positions that won't be scooping games because they think it's better to just get the double loss rather than an actual loss. Is that going to be standard policy and procedure going forward? Probably not. But here's the really, really, really bad part about these time rules.
Now,
the super terrible part of these time rules is even if you have 1-0 up, even if you're 1-0 up against your opponent, and you're in game 2, and there is 10 minutes on the clock, and it might seem like you're in a 60-40, 70-30 game-winning position. If you play that game out long enough, maybe you'll win. But if you don't win that game, even if you're in a winning position by the end of the time procedure, you are up a game and you're winning the board in game 2, you are incentivized to scoop a very winnable game. Because if a game does not end in a conclusion, you double loss. That's where these rules are really bad. You are literally incentivized as a player who won game 1, who is currently winning game 2, but it's taken a little bit of time. There's a few things to grind through. You need a couple of turns to get to some of the floaters, some of the follow-up, but you can establish a board and 100% win that game, provided you play everything correctly. You are encouraged to scoop a situation that is just a 2-0 position, which is crazy. So that's the really bad thing about these rules. How much is this going to be abused and taken advantage of by players? Well, that's the explanation, and this is the chicken sort of scenario people are in. It's going to affect the mentality of game 1. It's going to infect the mind games of game 1, because game 1 is going to be in a similar position as well. If you have a really long game 1, you're going to have to think about these things in the long term. Like, scooping, conceding a duel in order to try win the match is now a very, very, very important real thing. Overall, I think these are maybe not the greatest change to do. Yeah. That's just not true. It takes way longer to win a fresh game than to close out the existing one. No, it depends on the situation, like the one I just described. If you are going second in game 2 after you have just won game 1, you need to go second. You need to see your top deck. You need to see a specific non-engine maybe for your 6th card. And then you need to fight through some of the disruptions in the gate. And then you have to maybe hope that your opponent potentially misplays something. And then you have to grind to like turn 4 to deplete a resource to then try and get the game on turn 6. All of which, it might be better to just scoop that game 2, go first in game 3 where you are at a significant advantage, put up enough disruptions in the gate depending on your deck, and win the game 3. Because the game 2 might be winnable, but it will take too long. Game 3, if you go first, depending on your deck, it might actually be more incentivized with 10 minutes on the clock to scoop, side, that takes about 2.5, 3 minutes, and then in game 3, you can definitively go first, and depending on your deck, again, it might be faster to win a fresh game 3 than it is to go second in a unfolding game 2. That's the problem. But yeah. But it'll be interesting to see what people with more tournament experience think about this. But I haven't given any value judgments, really. Just to clarify. I haven't said this is like particularly good, particularly bad, except that last time rule thing. For the prizing and the top cut, I really don't know. It seems like there's good things, there's bad things about that. It's interesting. Magic, from what I understand, have top cut rules that allow the player to sort of no, it's bad for variance, but like the more rounds of Swiss you play, the better it is, quote unquote, because the idea is that you're guaranteed top cut rather than trying to sneak in on like it sort of incentivizes like the better players in some ways. I don't know. But the time rules overall, I hope that I explained that and broke that down to you. Simplistically and better. But it's really scary. It's rough stuff.